Hi, you guys. It's Yaz, and today I'm going to talk about the only people who could last with a narcissist. And yes, there are people who could last with a narcissist. And I'm going to talk about the two types of people that will last with that narcissist. There's many narcissists that can stay married for years, okay? Don't think that narcissists can't stay married or stay in relationships for many years, because they can. But generally, if they are staying in a relationship for a long period of time, it's because they are able to do what they want, all right? Or they're very good at deceiving the person who they're with. So the people who will last with a narcissist could be one of two kinds of people. The first one, somebody who's very naive, somebody who doesn't even recognize that they are with a narcissist. There's so many people that have been married or been long-term relationships with a narcissist for years, okay, 10, 20, 30 years, and they don't even realize they're dealing with a narcissist. They just feel like, well, every relationship has problems. I know they're bad, but, nobody's perfect, and people have to work through their problems. Understand this, there's problems and then there's serious problems. And when you deal with a narcissist, you're dealing with serious problems. You're dealing with a person who's deceiving you, lying to you, gaslighting you, many times cheating on you. Okay, so this is not your typical relationship, healthy relationship where people, they have problems, they sit down, they talk, they work through their problems, everybody has an off day. No, this is very different when you deal with a narcissist, because a narcissist is going to break down your self-worth. They're going to affect you. They're going to raise your cortisol levels. They're going to stress you out. They're going to eventually make you physically sick. They're going to make you mentally sick, get you depressed, anxious, and then they're going to get you physically sick, where you're going to have certain kinds of ailments, all right? Heart disease, thyroid disease, high blood pressure, cancer, autoimmune diseases, a whole host of problems from being in a relationship for a long time with a narcissist. But who are the people that last with these narcissists? Number one, like I just spoke about, is the people that constantly keep trying to make it work with the narcissist. And a lot of times they try to keep making it work with the narcissist is because they don't see that narcissist for who they really are. Because the narcissist has gaslit them so much to think that they are the problem. These are people that are going to therapy, trying to see if they're the problem in the relationship. Maybe they're even taking antidepressant pills because they feel depressed in the relationship and they think that they're the problem. Okay, they're so brainwashed by the narcissist that they could never think that the narcissist is wrong. They always think that they're the problem because the narcissist has done such a brainwash on them. They just can't see it. They just absolutely can't see that they're they can't see the narcissist, rather, for who they truly are. What's the other type of person that lasts with a narcissist? That would be the person who is codependent on the narcissist. This is generally people who can't be alone, okay? There's a lot of people in this world that they look at being alone as death, okay? They would rather stay with a nasty narcissist than to be alone by themselves, okay? And the narcissist knows it. And that's why the narcissist has the upper hand. That's why the narcissist is able to treat them any which way, because they know that that person is desperate and lonely, okay? So a person who's desperate and lonely can last with a narcissist because they're going to put up with a lot of shit, all right? The only people that can last with a narcissist are people who could put up with the narcissist nonsense. They can put up with it, okay? They don't have strong boundaries. These people do not have strong boundaries. That's why people sit there and they say, I see a lot of dating coaches where they talk about, you have to, play hard to get. You have to show your worth. And yeah, you have to have your worth. But what they don't realize that we're dealing in a whole different type of society today. There's plenty of supply today. Supply is so accessible with the advent of social media. So narcissists are running with it. They're independent. The old dating tricks of years ago won't work today, okay? They won't work today because if you play hard to get with a narcissist, they may chase you initially, but then they may say, not today, okay? And they may move on to somebody else, or anybody is going to move on to somebody else because of all the supply, on inbox, the social media, dating apps. They figure, I don't have to put up with this. I'll go to somebody else, somebody who's easier to deal with. So the people that last with the narcissist are people that are easier for the narcissist to be able to deal with, okay? Narcissist is not going to deal with a strong person, period, dot, end of story. No fucking way is a narcissist going to put up with a strong person that has strong boundaries, that tells them no and makes them accountable. No way. Those type of people do not last with a narcissist. But a person who lets things go, maybe an empath, all right? But eventually an empath is going to get disgusted and walk away. But it's people, a lot of times, it's people that either don't know, okay, what the narcissist is, and they figure everybody has problems, okay, and they don't want to give up on their relationship. Some of them even say things like, oh, well, I invested 10 years into this relationship. I'm not about to let it go, right? And it's because they don't want to let go of the relationship, so they hang in there. And they may still argue with the narcissist, all right? They could argue with the narcissist, but you guys, the narcissist keeps breaking their boundaries and they're still there, okay? They're still putting up with it. And those are the people that last with the narcissist. But keep in mind this. They could last with the narcissist for many years, 10, 20, 30 years, and the narcissist could still dump them, okay? And why would a narcissist dump somebody that put up with all of that? Because the narcissist has to. The narcissist may be in a position where they've gone out, they find a younger supply, they know they have to give that supply plenty of attention. The other supply, they have to move into this other relationship, and that may be a case where the narcissist can't juggle the two. Narcissists, if they're in a long-term relationship, most of them are having affairs. And it's not till the affair gets very, very serious, then the narcissist would have to discard, the supply they have for the new supply because they have to. Not even necessarily because they want to, because most of the time they like to have the best of both worlds. They like to keep the supply they've had all those years because they've done everything. They feel a level of security with them. But the new supply puts so much pressure on them that they have to leave and discard the old supply and move forward with the new supply because they don't want to lose the new supply, all right? And that could be a case where somebody lasted with the narcissist for a long time, but then out of the blue, this new supply came into the picture and the narcissist knew that they had to discard you because they would lose the new supply, all right? They had to put the time, the effort, they had to be there in body. They had to discard you, okay? So understand this. People that last with the narcissist are people that are putting up with a lot of bullshit, okay? They're putting up with someone who's lying to them on a regular basis, someone who's gaslighting them, somebody who's, putting them down, devaluing them. They're putting up with a lot. People that last with a narcissist are putting up with a lot. And I actually had somebody, okay, who, I put this reel out talking about all of this. And she said, well, because in my reel, I said there's two people that will last with a narcissist. One who's very naive, okay, and one who is basically codependent. And she got very offended by it. And she was like, well, I don't really like the way this reel is worded. She says, because she felt it was victim shaming the victim for staying with the narcissist. And then she went on to say something about how she was with her narcissist for 7 years, and that he didn't show his true colors till like after 5 years. That's when the mask came off. All right. And I told her, I said, I'm sorry to tell you, but you obviously missed the red flags, because a narcissist can't go for 5 years without showing red flags. Period. Dot. End of story. It is impossible. The longest I think a narcissist that I have ever seen be able to go without showing a red flag could be a year. Okay. And these, even a year or two, and these are the scammers. These are the people that are after major bucks, and they're putting in the work, they're putting in the time, and they're going to keep that love bombing going for a good year or two, because they're after a huge money supply. But that mask is going to fall once they got that person locked in. All right. So obviously, what this woman doesn't realize is there were red flags. And yes, you did miss the red flags. And you have to own when you miss the red flags. This is not victim shaming anybody. This is trying to waken you up and realize that there were things you missed, so that next time you don't miss them. I look back on my relationships with the narcissist and I realize that there were things that I missed. At some point, you have to own it. You can't just always sit there and say, the narcissist did this, the narcissist did that. At some point, you have to admit that you were fooled, okay? You have to take it, all right? You didn't know. That's why I did a post where I said, forgive yourself because you did the best you could with what you knew at the time, all right? It's not victim shaming, but after you come out of all of this, you have to look back and realize that you were fooled, okay? Or you were naive. You either ignored the red flags, all right, or you didn't recognize the red flags, because you would not have gone through the same thing today if you were very educated on narcissism. You would have recognized those red flags, and you wouldn't have let the relationship go on for years, okay? You would have stepped back from it, because you would have seen the toxic things that they do, the blame shift, the gaslighting, the calling you crazy, the selective amnesia, the word salad. You would have recognized all of these things, okay? But you were naive to it because you maybe didn't know about all the tricks that narcissists play, the mind games that they play. But once you know the mind games, that narcissist is dead in the water. There's not a trick they could. Once you know narcissism, you guys, inside out, you'll be able to spot these narcissists all over the place, all right? No matter where you are, in your job, in your family, in your relationships, with your kids, with whomever, right? So, understand this. If you stayed with the narcissist, you either were codependent on them, or you were naive to the fact that you were dealing with the narcissist. All right? It's not a shame. It's you didn't know, okay? We didn't know. That's why we have to forgive ourselves, because we did the best we could at the time, all right? So many people don't want to acknowledge that they didn't recognize the signs of the narcissist. Part of growing is being able to look back and self-reflect on yourself. This is how you grow as a person, to see where you missed, all right? And next time, you can correct those mistakes and realize that, what? I didn't recognize this person was toxic, all right? So, it happens, and it happens to the best of us, all right? So the people that last with a narcissist are people that just either didn't know, or people that are very codependent. They could be codependent on the narcissist for money. They can't leave the narcissist because they're bound. They can't afford to live on their own. These are people that could last with the narcissist. The other people that could last with a narcissist are other narcissists. Narcissists can last with narcissists. I've seen narcissists married for many years. And they're codependent on each other in the sense that they need each other financially, all right? They use each other financially, or they use each other for status. You see politicians that are married to people that stay married for many years, and there's no love there, but they stay married to that person for a long time because they use each other for a common purpose, all right? Each one of them is getting a benefit out of the relationship. So that's why they stay in the relationship. And, generally when you have a relationship with two narcissists, one narcissist is going to be a little bit stronger than the other and have the control. So that's why those relationships can last. Not to say that they don't have, their battles. Yeah, they could have their battles like everybody else, but they both are getting some kind of supply off each other, and that's why the relationship would last. But understand this, any relationship that lasts with a narcissist, you will have to put up with some sort of abuse. You are going to deal with abuse when you're with a narcissist. I don't care who it is. See, people, they look at the new supply. They think, oh, they're living the great life. Oh, they're so lovey-dovey. Oh, the narcissist fell in love. They're engaged now. Oh, they look so happy. Was it me? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they may be happy. It's a fake happiness in the beginning. But in time, I guarantee you, all right? I would bet money on this because I've lived a lot of life. I've seen how people roll out, all right? And how narcissists roll out. And I'm going to tell you that person who's with that narcissist, once they feel comfortable with that person, or the longer that relationship goes on, that's when the narcissist mask is going to drop, and they're going to get more and more cruel and wicked because they're comfortable with the person, all right? The more comfortable that narcissist gets with you, the more they're going to treat you like shit, okay? Hate to tell you that, but they will. They'll start treating you more and more like shit because they got you and they figure that you're not going anywhere, all right? They feel more comfortable the more comfortable the narcissist feels with you, the more the narcissist feels they could talk to you any which way. They feel they could do anything, all right? And they feel you're not going to do anything or you're not going to leave. So these are the people that last with the narcissist, the ones that put up with their lying, put up with their gaslighting, put up with their cheating if they know about it. If they don't know about it, rather, some will put up with it even if they know about their cheating because they need the narcissist. These are the people that stay with the narcissist, the people that need the narcissist, all right, or don't know what the narcissist is. So, and they're still trying to work it out. They may be going to marriage counseling thinking that they're going to change this person. You're not going to change the narcissist because the narcissist doesn't think they're the problem. They think you're the problem, and they're conning you, and they're conning the therapist because they don't want to lose their house. They don't want to pay out money. They don't want to pay out child support. That's why they're with you, all right? So, you guys, don't be a sucker. Once you realize you're dealing with a narcissist, realize that person is with you because you're offering some kind of transactional purpose to them, all right? Or a safety and a security. You're offering them a home, all right? Maybe they don't want to pay out for money for a divorce, which could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all right? And people who have been divorced, we know that, all right? And that could be a reason why people stay with the narcissist. And people could also stay with the narcissist too because they're afraid of the narcissist, okay? Narcissists can be dangerous. That narcissist may threaten to take your kids away, and they may have a lot of money. They may threaten to hurt you in some sort of way, even physically if they're a malignant narcissist. So the people that could last with a narcissist could also be people that are terrified of the narcissist and putting up with that shit because they're terrified of what that narcissist could do to them. All right. Not everybody has, this little feeble narcissist, that is just lying or gaslighting or cheating. Some people are living with real monsters, okay? These malignant narcissists are flat out dangerous. I've seen them, okay? They, in my opinion, are the most dangerous out there because they'll knock your head off, all right? They will knock your head off. It's not about just smearing you, okay? You got to fear for your life with these people. So people that have dealt with these malignant narcissists know exactly what I'm talking about. You got to watch your P's and Q's around them, what you say or what you do, because it could end up deadly in some cases. So these are the people that will stay with the narcissist, people that are afraid of the narcissist, people that could be codependent on the narcissist, either for money or that they can't be on their own. They rather deal with a toxic person than be on their own, all right? Or just people that are flat out naive, that don't know what the game is. There's some people out there that are like, the game, what's that? What's the game? All right. A lot of people don't know what the game is. Okay. I didn't know what the game was because nobody told me when I was younger. That's one of the reasons I created this podcast, The Game Exposed, was to educate people so they would, because nobody deserves to get hurt like that. Nobody deserves to have their feelings played with. That's why I created my podcast, The Game Exposed, because I wanted to help other people so that they didn't go through what I went through and got hurt. All right. That was my initial goal. That was my revenge on the narcissists out there, okay? And then it just took off and it was doing really well and on the charts. So, and it grew because people knew that I was speaking the truth and they wanted to hear it. And a lot of people didn't know the tricks of the narcissist, and I exposed the narcissist with my podcast, talking about all the tricks they play in dating and relationships, all right? Like my very first podcast, you guys, was How to Spot a Player. And a lot of people, they love that podcast. So the bottom line is this. There's people out there, getting back to the point, there's people out there who are just flat out very naive and don't know that they're dealing with a toxic person because they've been so manipulated and gaslit and brainwashed that they don't even realize that the person they're with is toxic, okay? Or they may realize they're toxic, but they don't care, or because they're codependent and they just don't want to leave, all right? One of the things I want to point out here is this. Understand this. There's so many people that are manipulated. This is the flying monkeys of the narcissist. And you could go and tell them that the narcissist is toxic and they'll never believe you. All right. You could sit there and show them all the facts and say, listen, this person is toxic, and they will not believe you. You see this in politics. All right. It's futile to sit there and argue with people about politics because no matter how much you show them the facts, they will only see what they want to see because a lot of people have been brainwashed. They've been gaslit by the media. And they don't want to think of, who they follow as being toxic. So, sometimes people just want to be blind denial. They're in blind denial. And that could be another reason why people stay with the narcissist. Blind denial, all right? So these are the people who stay with the narcissist. I hope that helps you. If it does, hit the subscribe button, share the video, share the podcast. If you're looking for confidential one-on-one phone coaching, check out the link in the bio at askyaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. If you're confused, you don't know if you're dealing with a narcissist, what type of narcissist they are, and you need clarity and advice on how to deal with them, check out that confidential link in the bio at askyaz.wixsite.com/thegameexposed. Check out my YouTube, over 7,500 videos. I lay it down on YouTube at The Game Exposed Podcast. TikTok is The Game Exposed, and Facebook and Instagram, you guys, is The Game EXP123. And have a great day.